If Democrats lose their most vulnerable Senate seats, what is their path to winning back the Senate? 3 seats up for re-election are in states that voted for Trump: Joe Manchin in W.V., Jon Tester in MT, and Sherrod Brown in O. While each have strong incumbents, if Dems lose these incumbents, they're going to be near impossible to win back. If that happens, how do Dems take back the Senate? If they defeat the 2 Republicans in Biden-won states Ron Johnson and Susan Collins, that still leaves them with only 50 seats and would allow a Republican VP to act as a tiebreaker. And Johnson isn't up for re-election again until 2028 and Collins isn't until 2026. Where do Dems look next? Most vulnerable in no particular order are likely Collins, Maine; Johnson, Wisconsin; Scott, Florida. After that, maybe Bud in NC and Cruz in TX. If they get the right candidate to run against them and it's an overall blue year. I think in the future they also have a shot at an AK seat when Sullivan or Murkowski retires. If Peltola goes for it. Overall, I think both parties still have realistic paths to majorities, but the days of 55 majorities are over. For the time being. It's amazing that only 3 states now have senators from each party. Everything has almost completely solidified by red state and blue state. Only 3 purples on the Senate map. They don't have one. There are 60 red state Senate seats. Democrats need to overcome significant electoral hurdles to have even the soil majority they have now. And they now an unfathomable number of upsets to actually pass legislation. This is all by design. It is the primary reason Republicans have pushed for partisanship. Nothing would benefit them more than removing the chance for people to split their ticket and vote for a Democratic senator. And nationalized partisan politics prevents that and ensures their endless primacy over legislation and the courts. If the Republican Party somehow betrays or appears to betray Trump, MAGA stays home. If Trump is on the ballot, MAGA will ensure GOP pickups in the Senate. But if MAGA perceives that the GOP establishment was not sufficiently supportive of Trump, they may stay home complete. W.I. Ron Johnson. N.C. Bud and Ortilis. Me Collins emo she will have to retire. She won't lose. K.S. Marshall his stance on abortion could give a D enough of a push to beat him. Considering how KS voters rejected the efforts to modify the Constitution to remove abortion protection. I think they also have to worry about GA actually keeping 2D senators. Conditions have been perfect, but don't underestimate GA and other red states' efforts to suppress turnout. Senate doesn't look good for Democrats or people in populated states. Over the next 15 years it's predicted that 70 of population will only have 30 control of the Senate. That 70 lives in high population areas. If Dems lose control of the Senate, demographics trends indicate that it's probably sometime in the mid-2030s before they get it back. The utterly partisan and corrupt SCOTUS decision to ignore over a century of precedent and allow partisan gerrymandering, then their gutting of the Voting Rights Act, has entrenched Republican control over purple-ish states like Texas not red not voting, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Ohio for the foreseeable future, unless the Ohio voters are successful in thwarting their legislature picking the voters. Your post is misinformed, I believe. There are no Republicans running for re-election in the Senate in states Biden won in 2020. Susan Collins' seat isn't up for Angus King's. The only real path Dems would have would be a crazy upset in Texas, Florida. Those 3 seats you mentioned likely determine the entire outcome off in the Senate. Manchin is a dead man walking politically speaking, so that's essentially a guarantee loss for the Dems one of Sherrod Brown Tester is needed along with equivalent results in all states Biden won in 2020 but at the Senate level for the Dems to hold even the tiebreaker control in the Senate. We only have 2 Dakotas because Republicans wanted to have the extra Senate seats. Those Republicans aren't very much like these Republicans. But the effect is as undemocratic as today's Republican Party could wish for. You're seeing why Manchin is, at least on very visible issues, pretty much caucusing with the Republicans. I think Tester is safe. But Sherrod Brown is in trouble. But if we lose Brown but gain 2 seats, still come out ahead. However, if we lose the Senate, I don't know what our chances are during the next midterms. Hopefully someone else can discuss that. Most don't want to admit it, but we're closer to a government collapse than we are to a functioning Democratic majority. If you want to see things enacted like environmental reform, ethics reform, abortion rights, etc., they're more likely to come after a collapse than before. Where do Dems look next? For more scapegoats on why they can only deliver for corporations and not people. I don't think many Republicans are interested in this whole democracy thing anymore, so once this happens, the true shitshow will begin. At this point, I don't view Manchin as a Democrat. He is a poser. Johnson will be hard to get out due to gerrymandering and the general consensus or rural folks in Wisconsin. One of the reasons I was glad to leave. Everyone I talk to is voting straight ticket Democrat. So I don't see this happening. Republicans will lose 2024 big time if they do not change their stance on women's rights. Organize Democrats to leave Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana and have them move to Texas and finally turn Texas blue. Win back power? Why would they do that? You think losing is the bug in the system? It's actually the feature of the system. They intend to lose so they can throw their hand up and says, "Oh gosh, oh my, welp. Shucks, would you look, it was just nothing anyone could do. Well, guess I need to start racing money to fight the big bad meanie. Back to my 3 houses and $200 year and legal bribes. Maybe next time?" Dems never had Manchin to begin with, so no loss there. Tester is only slightly better, but not likely to lose. Neither is Brown likely to lose. Biden winning in 2024 and Democrats beating Collins and Tom Tillis in 2026. I see Tester winning based on name recognition. Sherrod Brown will win based on the turnout because of an abortion question on Ohio's ballot. The 2024 map makes the loss of the Senate fairly likely. The Dems have 3 vulnerable seats: MT, O, WV, and 0 pickup opportunities. 2026 is tough. ME and NC may be up for grabs, but GA needs to be defended. WI presents a viable pickup opportunity in 2028. If the Dems were committed to reinventing and repositioning themselves, they could conceivably flip FL, IA and/or O, but don't count on the latter. Brown and Tester have a chance to win. Manchin is a dino, and other than his vote for Senate majority, losing him would not be too bad. I don't think McConnell runs in 26. If Beshear or Abramson ran, they could make it a race. Tillis, Collins, Johnson are possible. There are 25 states that voted for Biden in 2020, so Dems targeting those is probably the best bet. North Carolina only narrowly voted for Trump, so it could be targeted as well. States like Alaska and Texas may not currently be competitive, but depending on the future and the candidates, they're both states that the Dems could have a shot at, and maybe Montana as well, even if Tester loses in 2024. Losing Tester, Brown, and Manchin would be a blow to Dems, but it wouldn't create a permanent Republican majority either.